Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we will talk about what is a DevHub, what is a Scratch org, then how we can enable DevHub and from where we can actually enable DevHub, what are all the environments where we can enable the DevHub org, and then we are going to create a VS Code project and we will authorize our DevHub org for that VS Code project. So DevHub is we can say that you can enable DevHub either inside your free developer edition org or your production org, where developer hub let you to create and manage a scratch org. So what are scratch orgs? Scratch orgs are the source driven, we can say, disposal environment which you can use, and those will be expired maximum after 30 days or whatever the number of days that you have given. So now suppose that you have multiple developers, you have hundreds of developers working on a project, and you don't want to give them the access directly to your sandbox. So what you can do is you can just give them you can enable the DevHub org in your Salesforce environment and then give them the required access to create the Scratch orgs. And once they are inside the VS Code project, they can just run a simple command to create a scratch org, and then that scratch org will be their own org where they will be just playing around and working on the modifications, bug fixes, hot fixes, or any feature development. The other benefit for scratch org is also one thing is suppose that you are working on a new feature, you can create a completely new scratch org where you are fetching the data from your master environment and then creating the scratch org so that you have everything which is there in the master and then you are developing the new feature. Similarly, you can do with the bug fix, you can do with the hot fix, or you can do with any sort of releases. And with the help of scratch org, the development and deployment, or we say with the help of scratch org plus SFDX, the development and deployment has been very easy, and it's very streamlined process where we can just do the development, deploy to the org, and then pull the changes from the org and then push them to the GitHub repository, from where our CI/CD tools will take care. They will just validate, compile all those things, and then deploy to the target environment based on the branches which you are committing into. So now let's quickly see how we can enable and then how we can authorize our DevOps with the VS Code project. In the previous videos, we have seen directly how we can work with our environment. So just log into your Salesforce environment, navigate to the setup. I hope everyone knows how to navigate to setup. And then here you just need to search for DevHub. No matter either you are in Salesforce Classic or Lightning, just search for DevHub. Under the development, you will find a link called DevHub. Just click on that link. If your org is basically created earlier, like recently you have created your org, this will be automatically enabled. If this is not enabled, you will see a toggle like this. You just need to go ahead and enable that like this. Once you will be enabling, it is going to enable, like there are various checkboxes. Enable second generation package, you can also enable that. If you want to enable Einstein features to while creating the scratch org, you can enable that as well. So if you want to enable all these four options, you can enable, but if you only want to enable DevHub, because this is something which is useful for us, which we are going to use, and it will let us to create the scratch org fully configurable and developmentable. We can do all those things. So you just need to enable this. Once you have enabled, you cannot disable it, so make sure that you only enable if you need this feature. Now once you have enabled this, what you are going to have is you are going to have two new S objects which are provided by as a part of DevHub. So once you enable it, you will say one object which is active scratch org. Okay, you see here, this is the scratch org object which is going to store all the orgs which are active at a time, not the expired one, only the active ones. If you want to create new fields, you can just go ahead and create the new fields as well. Okay, now if you go back to object manager, there is one more object which is saying that is scratch org info. You see here we have got scratch org info. This object is going to store every single thing. Every single thing means active, expired orgs as well, all the orgs. If you go to the fields and relationships, you can have your custom fields. Like I have created one custom field called release. So for which release I'm working on. If you want to have, suppose that you wanted to create a field for bug fix number, or you say that user story number, so you can just go ahead, click on new, select the data type which you want. Okay, and as part of a data type I'll say that user story, so that we can track which user story a developer is working on. Go ahead, click on next. Make sure to provide the access to the record profiles. I will leave as it is default and will add into the page layout. So this is how basically you can work on these. And if you go to the different tab where you have open your Salesforce, or you can just open your uh, application, click on app launcher, you say scratch org info. So if you search for scratch org info over here, I have got this scratch org infos. There is one org here. You see here I already, okay, I have multiple orgs. You can see it has been deleted. There is one org which is active at a time, which is service enterprise for now. This is saying that 009. And if I open it, I can see what is the name of the org, basically the company name, what are all the features, what is the org ID, what currently status is, and what is the addition. So this is all about the scratch org information that you can get inside your developer org or your production org. You cannot enable DevHub for any sandboxes. One information about scratch org is these all are sandbox environments. These are not a normal developer environment. These all are sandbox environments. So if someone asks you about what a scratch org is, either a developer or production or a normal developer edition, you need to say it's a sandbox. It's not neither production nor a normal developer environment. Now let's quickly see how we can create a project over here. So open your VS Code. We already did the setup for VS Code and we know how to create a project. So use the hotkeys, either Control Shift P or Command Shift P, and then we need to select create project with manifest, and then we need to select what template we wanted to use, what is the project name. So I'll say scratch or deployment. Hit enter. It will ask you where you wanted to create your project. So we will select the location where we are working on and we will hit create project. So it is going to run a command. You will see here it is starting a command for running a create project, and once the project is successfully created, it is going to reload the VS Code for us with all the dependencies, all the files as well. You need to wait for a minute or two to fully load the dependencies from our SFDX project. Now you can see here it is saying that no default org set, and you can see this is a complete structure of our SFDX project. You already know about that. There is one thing that which we will be working on is a config folder inside project scratch org definition. So this is the JSON file where we can put the definition of our scratch org, and whatever we are going to put over here, we will be able to see that definition when our scratch org, our sandbox is created. We'll talk about this in the next video. Now let's talk about how we can authorize a DevOps over here. There are two ways you can do that. You can just use like Control Shift P, and then you can search for authorize. As soon as you will search for authorize, you will say authorize a DevHub. You can use this command, or what you can do is just click on this, and as soon as you click on this, you will see some suggested commands for you, and you need to select authorize a DevOps org. Once you will select, it is going to run some sort of commands for you. So if you see, the command is SFDX force colon auth colon web colon login, and we need to set as a default DevHub username. It is going to open a browser for you where you need to provide a username and password, and if your username and passwords are correct, it is going to give you the success code over here in the VS Code. So you can see here it has opened an org, and here what you need to do is you need to basically log in with the org or username and password where you have enabled your DevHub org. So it is going to log in into your org, and once you are done over here, and if you get back to your VS Code, you still see that this command is running. But once this is done, this is login is completed, we will be able to see successfully authorized with our username, and this is our org ID. And even if you see no default org is set, because we have to create a scratch org. We have authorized with the DevHub. Now the time is to create a scratch org, and after that deploy all the changes to the scratch org. So this is it for this video. Thank you for your time. In the next video, we will talk about how we can configure our scratch org JSON file, and then how we can create scratch org. Thank you.